Hi, welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. And I'm talking about money, money, money. We have Tina Rowley. She has a premier accounting firm. I tell you, money, money, money. You know, that's the root of what people say. But she decided to go out. She's the CEO of this organization, and she felt that, hey, let me get into something that I can control. And all of us, we should, if we don't want to, but we should control our money.
Absolutely.
Tina,
yes. How are
welcome
you?
to the Ed Brown Show.
Thank you for having me.
I tell you, you know what? That hit everything on the head. With everything's going is. I was telling people, I say, generally, you know, when you look at most problems, it comes down to finance sooner or later.
It does. I absolutely agree. I believe it comes to not just finance, but understanding how finance impacts your life.
Tell us, how did you get involved in setting up this organization, and what are some of your goals and some of the things that you've achieved?
Okay, so, well, about 25 years ago, I've always, you know, I have an accounting degree with a business concentration, and I've always done tax returns for others, which, you know, I did it for free. Right. I did
You're
it for
doing
free.
it for free.
Right. And
then you woke up and you said, wait a minute.
It's actually hard for me to charge because I love what I do. I love helping people. So when I moved back into the DMV area, I said to myself, I will not do one tax return unless I'm willing in my soul to charge, because it is a lot of work, and it does require, you know, an extensive amount of education, training, and skill and responsibility. So that's how I started, and then it just started as a small, then friends told friends, and friends told more friends, and from there, it just grew from my dining room to my basement to a next door, and now I have a location in Upper Marlboro on Water Street, right across from the courthouse.
Okay, that's a good location.
I think so, right? And so while a portion of my business is related to accounting, another portion is related to taxes and income tax preparation and dealing with the IRS. What I found over the years was people were really afraid of the IRS. And I believed it had to do with knowledge or lack of knowledge.
A lack of knowledge.
Right.
Sure.
So being a server and a servant type of person in spirit, I wanted to help people who fully understand what it doesn't have to be scary. You know, and I knew how I have a natural knack for how the IRS operates and how, you know, to prepare things that are needed for them to be in the best position. And then as I was dealing with clients on a daily basis, it wound up being people would come in and they'll give me their tax paperwork, but then we're talking about life, and I can tell your life from your paperwork, how you're spending your money, where your money is going, how much of a refund you should or should not be getting, if you're investing in yourself with your retirement, if your kids are, you know, if you're taking advantage of pre-tax benefits. So that was a big part of it. And then that spilled over into business development, because people who want to start businesses need to understand how their money impacts that decision. So
money always works harder than you. That's my theory. Money works when you sleep.
It should, but we're not all in that position.
No.
But we want to get people there. So then it became more important that I understand that children or youth understood money and understood taxes and understood how it impacts their life in starting a business. And I really believe that youth can do whatever you teach them. You know, they have the tenacity, they have the drive if they see the opportunity. A lot of times we just don't have the access to the information. So if we go back to the taxes, like the IRS offers and compromises, I do those because people don't realize if you do owe this much back taxes and you can't afford to pay it, there are ways around that, you know, that you can deal directly with the IRS.
A lot of people don't realize that.
No, they don't. No. And they see the commercials and these big box people, and they don't care. They say, give me money, 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 then I'll help you. It's like, no, you need somebody who can help you understand what's happening, understand how to navigate through that, and understand how to put you in the best position possible to fix that. So that's another aspect of, you know, a compromise in resolving problems with the IRS. And so I just basically found that I'm more of a financial strategist than I am an accountant. You know, accounting deals with the everyday books and out money. But
Right.
finding a strategy to make your money work for you where you are, that's where I like to be.
Well, you know that's a key, and I think a lot of problems in associated with people, period,
Right.
is monetary.
Right.
Is that they don't have the advice or haven't been exposed.
Exactly.
And I think as far as problems are concerned, you notice around the world, money generally is one of the things that sway different countries, different as far as trades are concerned, as far as different things, what the oil, where the oil is,
Right.
where the natural resources. In fact, money was one of the reasons that I say you develop slaves, you develop, was the fact that that was a way of, anytime you have a business,
Right.
and you don't have to pay any help, you know, it's free. Anytime you have free labor
Or cheap labor.
yeah, or cheap labor, you're going to be successful. And this is the problem that the world has had years back, you know, and it has spilled over into this generation too.
Right.
Only they are not physical like they were years before.
Okay.
But the idea they have different ways of doing it.
Okay.
You know, and I think the president has indicated that when he first 90 days, he went to about 5 or 6 countries setting up some kind of embargo or trade or stopping the trade or increase the trade, because it means it deals with the finance, and finance is the thing that drives dictators and drive people
Absolutely.
to take over countries and natural resources. The natural resources that have been taken away from the different countries
Native lands.
are the things that drives other countries to do. That's why countries, to protect that, most countries, I would say, don't have the armament and the money that big countries like Russia, United States, and China and all put into war. You know,
We're not going to talk about war, are we?
Yeah, but I'm just saying that they realize they have to protect their interests, their assets. And the only way to keep you from taking my assets, I'll have to have my Uzi ready.
Well,
you know what I mean? To keep you from taking my assets.
That's true.
Because this is the way that most countries have developed their wealth, is
That is
through ways of doing that. Well, tell me this: how do you feel the young people? You know, they having problems now. The young people are going to college. They have majors, and they're paying arm and a leg enough for a house note, you know, on a school loan. And how do you think they're going to get over this era where they go and get a college degree, 2 or 3 of them, and they come out and they end up working in fast food?
I think you have to actually stop that type of trend by dealing with younger kids first. So if we start them out correctly, then they won't go through a system or a major that they have zero interest in, but they're going to school maybe too soon, maybe too far away, maybe just because. So I believe we have to start with 8th and 9th graders and just really do a battery of testing and desired and interest. So if we can narrow down earlier what they are really good at naturally, what they enjoy, then we get them prepared to go down that path by packaging their school packages correctly with, you know, great essays, great community service, not just the minimum that the counties require, great community involvement. You know, we create that package. Their scores are on point. So if we work with them 8th and 9th grade and throughout the rest of high school, the deal is we should be able to get them into a school. You know, if finances are, if it's easier, I will admit, for a disenfranchised group or underserved community, but usually the underserved community don't have the access to the education or the tools to have, because if we can match their their income with their educational package, we can get them into the Ivy schools. They're based on a sliding scale income, but we can't get our kids into that. So then we would eliminate that debt, right? Or if you're in a middle income or your income is, two-family income and you're okay, it's more important, I believe, to find out what you really want to do and where is it necessary to go. How many times have you had to show your degree? Probably not many times, and people spend a lot more money sending their kids to prestigious schools or maybe top schools, but not the top. And why are you spending that extra money? Why are you putting that child in that position and then to get a degree that they don't even really want? Because they haven't done a battery of tests or understanding of what that job would look like. What is it I'm really wanting? I guess if we focus that earlier, we can then get them on a trajectory where they now have a better understanding of where they're going, what they're equipped to do, and what else is required.
Well, what I have said, and a lot of people don't agree with it, as far as education and the budget and things of that. I don't think that we put enough emphasis on education. We put it on war as far as spending and providing environment for that type of thing, which I feel, the education is the investment. And it should be free. But it's like an investment. You're in finance. In order for you to be successful in your endeavor, you have to do that.
Exactly.
And you have to invest in it. And what's happening now is that the youngsters there turn around when they see the drug dealer has a Mercedes and all of these things, and then they go out and they get a degree or something like that, and then they, in the system itself, due to many things, don't accept them, and that drives that individual away from doing the right thing and being a good citizen.
But here's the question I would have to ask. If you are raised and reared either by your home, your community, your associations, to know that you have something that you're able to accomplish, you might have to move away from your area if it's not producing what you want. Now, to go back to the whole school and economics, New York State, for example, and don't quote me for sure, but I know if you go to a New York State public school, for K through 12, you are automatically going to college for free in the state of New York.
In New York?
Yes, that is a system that you have to, if you put so that's how much they're kind of backing their education. If you go to one of our public schools, you should be equipped to be able to go to college, just like you stayed. Other states should probably look into why is that possible? How do you make that happen? How do we replicate that in other areas? So that is something that is happening.
Great. I'm glad to know that.
Right,
so New York is the only state
I don't know about only, but I know that they do it.
They are actually doing that.
Yes,
so what do you advise young people as far as financing and going through the system as far as getting education? I talk a lot about vocational schools, which they have eliminated, but that is.
But that doesn't
stop
you from getting. That doesn't stop you from getting what you need. You can't. We have to equip our young people to not stop because there was a no. Well, you all didn't stop because there was a no, did you?
No.
Exactly. So why are our kids now allowed to stop? So we just have to find another way. That's what we do. We find another way. And so I think that's why I feel the need to start this program, Moving Beyond, because there's...
What's the name of the program?
Moving Beyond.
Okay.
And what we're going to do with that program is create a program, access, systems, and support to help people navigate beyond where they are and to go where they want to be. The biggest audience we want are the 8th graders through 12th graders, to get them equipped vocationally. Some kids aren't ready for college. They don't want to go to college, and that's okay if you want to start a business.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's it. And as far as I noticed when I was going to school, they had vocational school.
They did.
Everyone is not college material.
Absolutely.
And see, people don't understand that. And I think the community colleges is the right step because
Absolutely. They have a lot of workforce development programs.
Right, because it gives a youngster that opportunity to get into that type of environment to really see what it takes and really.
And it doesn't cost that much.
And the costs, right.
Right, it's absolutely. So what I plan to do is let me give you an example. If you have a young girl who likes to do hair, does she really need a vocational school to teach her how to do hair, or does she need access to some other stylists who will teach her how to prepare and how to run a business and how to do hair, and that she can work with when she's 15, 16, so by the time she's 18, she's understood, she passes the test? Or does she really need a school to do that? She didn't need the school. We just had to find another way, you know, to get the same education, to get the same
Well, do you think
information.
maybe going through the political system to emphasize that avenue for the youngsters to get involved, put money in the budget for such programs like that?
I believe so, yes. And then there's, you know, we just have to create enough noise and information. Hey, we're here to help you type of avenues, and have more people help other people. Be willing, if I bring a child who has a tendency or a good knack for what you do, can they come and work with you and shadow you until they fully understand it? You know, that's the kind of thing I think we have to do. If the government won't do it, we still have to find a way.
So, do you think that maybe the corporations should be more involved in things like that, you know?
And a lot of the big companies are. A lot of the big companies will donate to bona fide organizations who are truly helping and serving the community. The banks are really good at it, but you know, getting those resources may be a little tricky, but you have to present yourself properly. And so, you know, it's our hope that we can actually impact across a broader spectrum of people to give them access to this information, to these systems that are truly available. They don't know.
Well, how do you youngsters find information about things like that? Sometimes it's not even available in the school.
It's not. And the guidance counselors don't always help.
And the guidance counselors, I know they have the setup, but apparently it's not doing the job it was set up to do. And they give information and encourage young people to get involved in the economy of this country. Because I think that once youngsters get involved in the economy in this country, they become great citizens, not good citizens, because they are positive and they're doing something positive. They're making a contribution, but when they look around and they see 80% of the Afro-American youngsters under 25 are in prison.
Well, we have to make sure that I'm not 81%. You have to make a determination in yourself.
But don't you think the system should, right now, I don't think the system, they're providing X number of dollars for building prisons.
Absolutely. I agree that they're not, I agree that it seems like a setup for us to, but we can't fall for it.
Right.
These kids are educated. These kids know better.
So what is your solution for getting the youngsters involved in the economics of this country, since you're like a financial advisor?
I believe you have to do what you love, and identifying that early enough, when you're younger, high school level, then we can create a business for you. Now you have your own business. Now you have more to lose. Because you're not going to go chase after the easy money because you have something at stake. You don't have to stay, you know, I have this quote that I say that I think I created, you know, ghetto is not a zip code, it's a state of mind. So if we don't change your state of mind earlier, and if your school won't do it, you have to do it in your community. So I guess it takes community. That would be an answer. So if we get communities together, we get people together, we can't rely on a system to take care of you. Because we've already seen that the systems that they're setting up are not to take care of us, but to receive us in ways that we don't want to be received. So we have to create other systems. We have to reach back and grab a kid. If you know you're going to work every day, it's summertime, and little Johnny is sitting on a corner every day playing a basketball, hey, you want to go do X, Y, or Z? Show interest in other people's children, even if it's not your own. First of all, show interest in your own children. And then grab a child along the way who may not have anybody because his mom might be working 3 jobs just to provide.
Right.
You know, so we have to.
That's the realization.
It is. It absolutely is.
And along the lines of finance, is the realization is that when it comes to that, I think it has to be individuals. They can't do it on the level that it needs organization. An organization that most people have, which they don't use, is voting.
Right.
In other words, people that are representing you in the various levels of government to make sure that you do your homework, and they're going to represent you on the level about things that you feel is going to be positive. Maybe because of the fact that we don't think in terms of the future. When we go to the polls, you know, what does it mean? You know what I mean? How does it, you know, what is this system is going to affect my children, my grandchildren?
Exactly.
You know? See, and this is what we look at what's basically going on.
You have to have a bigger vision. You have to see beyond right now. And that goes back to money as well. You have to look beyond today.
Okay, then. Nice having you here. We're going to see. We'll be back in a few minutes here.
Okay.
And we're going to just talk more about finance and the different things you need to do to get involved.
Thank you.
Nothing can throw you off track. Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Yes, welcome back. And we had Tina here, and we're talking about finance. Everybody needs a lesson in finance. I don't care where 8 to 80, you know, you got something that you need to control, and all of us need to control the finance. Okay, Tina, we were talking about the vocational schools and really the average person getting involved in the finance. Financing is very, very important, especially if you're going into the business world.
Absolutely.
And you see, and all of us see, the business world rules the world.
Exactly.
And
which is why I got a business degree, because I'm like, well, everybody's going to need business, right?
Right.
So here's the thing. I think people are not aware of how they use their money, how they spend their money, budgets. So when you are not aware, you can't plan and you can't see. So exposure to other things outside of your neighborhood and other possibilities opens up. If you do it to a younger child, show them something that they've never seen, it always plants a seed. And then someone later will feed that seed and water that seed. And then that creates a drive, you know, and I believe that's what we're missing a lot of. And then they not understanding how that seed I planted 20 years ago in that child will now impact the community and the future I'll live in later. So it does us all a good if we help someone else do the same thing that maybe was harder for us to do. Because there's no, it should be easier for the next person, not harder.
Give us some pointers on how a person can improve their finance and procedure on basic things, you know, like having a budget.
I was going to talk about budgets.
Because what happened with most of us, oh, we see that dress or we see this thing and we say, well, I think I'll buy that. And you say, hey, wait a minute, well, I'm going to treat myself.
Well, you know,
and then you go out and people overspend. That's one of the major items, and they don't get into a savings program. So tell us about the savings program.
I think we first should start with budgets. We should start with what money do we make, right? So if we know how much money if I know how much money I make and I actually visually write it down, not in your mind, be aware of it. Oh, I kind of think I spend about, that amount, but you really truly write it down. Then you write down everything that you have to pay. You have to pay. You have to pay for a place to live. You have to pay for your car.
Yeah.
You have to pay daycare if you have that. You have to pay certain things. We write that down, and when are they due? Is it due on the 1st? Is it due on the 12th? Is it due on the 17th? And then we compare that to our paycheck dates. And then we find out where we are, because the smallest place that you can find a big seeping of money are late fees. So you pay your Pepco bill, you're going to pay Pepco no matter what.
Yeah, well, those are essentials.
Exactly, standard, and I call those standard bills, essential standard.
Bills. Right.
But if you forget to pay it, they're going to charge you $20, $30 for a late fee for one day. So we need to budget when we get paid and compare that to when that bill is due, and pay it before or on that date. Before or on that date.
Before is
right.
Exactly.
And then,
because they don't realize just because they put it in the mail.
Exactly.
Just because they put it in the mail on the due date,
Exactly.
that means it's going to be late. And you can't say, well, I wrote the check for that day. And
I couldn't cash it though. That's what they're going to say. And so we have to, one, be aware of what our spending is. And sometimes when we look at that, when we look at our money coming in and everything that are essential or standard that has to go out, then we find out how much money is left. Once we see how much is left, then we need to save. We need to put at least, I like 15 to 18% into
15 to 18. Some people say put your money you're going to save first.
Well, you can do that too.
What
but
about
I'm working
that
from
approach?
a practical.
I'm
working from a practical standpoint.
Realization.
Right. I live in the real world. I need to pay these bills too. So, but again, we are actually earmarking it, if you will, if we see what's coming down the road with a spreadsheet. I created a spreadsheet that kind of has it stretched out 6 months, and then you just repeat it, so that you can actually see what money is there. And then we set aside, now that we know our money does meet, because what we first need to know, let's be clear, does my paycheck pay for my essential bills? Now, we're not talking credit cards, we're not talking about, debt, we're not talking about eating out, we're not talking about those things.
The essentials.
Right, we're saying, because first we need to see that before we save anything, because why are you saving if you can't pay your bills? Something's wrong. But you won't see that. But I do want you to save, don't get that wrong. So once we see our income actually meets our need, then we set aside how much we need to set aside for retirement, for emergency fund, emergency fund, let me use that in a normal word, savings for that next bill that you didn't anticipate.
Right. Well, see, those are things. So your answer is that you should really write these things down.
Write it down.
Instead of, most of us, they in our head, we say, well, I have these essentials have to be paid with whatever it is. And then we have a tendency to say, well, I can afford that car, or I can afford that dress, or whatever item it is. So tell us basically the 3 most important things in financing.
From an everyday point of view?
Yes.
Be aware of your income.
That's number 1.
Right.
Okay.
Because if your income isn't where it needs to be, you might need to do a part-time job.
Okay.
You might need to find a hobby or a side business. You might need to do some other
do
things.
all of that.
Right.
Okay. I want to thank you for being here. We're running out of time here.
Okay.
But you're thinking what I'm thinking too, is that finance is the key.
Yeah.
And
being aware
that
of your
most of us,
finances.
you have to take your finance seriously, write it down, don't overspend, and for goodness sake, save some money for the future.
Right.
This has been Ed Brown and Tina.
Hi.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.